Lather, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left base, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9 clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you clear to land on 9 all the way to the white dot. Go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. Do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first second live stream, I guess, if you don't count yesterday. The first main live stream of 2023, isn't it? And first of all, I have to give a big welcome to Chief Microlight, Rob Hughes. Thank you very much, Rob, for joining in. Which way? That's that way. That way. There you go. Thanks, Rob. Rob found out he was going to pop along and be a presenter late this afternoon and just jumped in and said, yes, absolutely, no problem at all. I'll bring my expertise to this and it will raise the bar, he said.
You told me to replace Dave Calderwood, and we all know that Dave Calderwood is irreplaceable, so I'll do my best.
That's true. Dave's had to pop off. Sorry, Ed?
Dave can't be with us tonight, can he? So
No. You've gone all quiet there, Ed.
Oh, okay. Have I?
There you go. That's slightly back to normal. I think that the software's figured that out. Anyway, no more about that. It's time to say thank you to Skydemon for the first time in 2023 and not for the last time. Thank you very much, Skydemon, the whole team there for sponsoring and supporting the live stream. You couldn't do it without you. Well, we could, but it would be a real pain and very, very difficult. So thank you very much for that. And here is your weekly tip from Skydemon.
Hi, I'm Rob from Skydemon, and here's another top tip. Today I'll be showing the flight details menu in Skydemon, which is where you can set a few details about your flight, which will give your planning a bit more depth. With a route on screen, tap the route button, then flight details. Here we can set various things, such as the aircraft we intend to fly, the amount of fuel we intend to take on board, things like takeoff time, and the cruising level that Skydemon will use as standard for all legs. You can get to that menu with just one touch by tapping the time and distance readouts in the top center of the screen. For more information, check out our website or our user manual from within the app.
Nearly got caught out then. I was just fidgeting with one of my little new gadgets that I bought for recording things. And I heard him check out the user manual. Oh my God, what's going on? Right. So anyway, that's good. And you'll also notice that Sarah's not here at the moment. So we'll have Johnny stepping in for Sarah in a little while. But it's time to bring in, for the first time again in 2023, I'm not going to say that again because it'll get boring, Simon Keeling. How are you doing, Simon?
Happy New Year. I'm fine, thank you, Ian. Hope everybody's well.
Whoops. There you go. Let's see if we can figure this one out.
Oh, come on, you can do it. Oh,
we need big weather. Big weather, small Simon.
You want small Simon?
I know.
Come on, mate.
I know.
There we go. Will that do?
Oh, I don't like that one. There you go.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so looks as if tomorrow actually is probably the better day for flying for most of us. Got a weak ridge of high pressure over us. You can just see here this sort of if it stays there. Let me get back to that. There we go. That little N shape that's sort of there in the isobars. That is a ridge of high pressure that's going to be building through during the course of tomorrow. So though it's going to be quite breezy, actually clouds can be well broken, bases are going to be quite high. You see here on the cloud ceiling forecast all that white color. That basically means that we've got really good ceilings tomorrow, probably going to be about 3,000 to 4,000 feet. So tomorrow looks a decent sort of day. Now Saturday, being a weather school day, that means that the weather is going to be pretty pants. We've got a front that moves its way eastwards during the course of Saturday morning. Take some heavy bursts of rain with it. Now, ahead of that front, there are going to be some strong winds, gusts of 40 to 45 knots potentially. But behind it, it looks as if conditions actually improve quite quickly. So behind the front, we'll probably see some sunny spells, broken cloud, and I think we're going to be looking at probably bases of around 3,000 feet, tops about 8,000 feet behind the front. Just watch out for 1 or 2 heavy showers just going on to these western coasts, I think, late on Saturday afternoon. And then we may find 1 or 2 CBs just moving in late in the day. But as I say, most of those affecting western coasts. I actually think the gap behind this front is looking pretty decent, and it looks pretty good as well for eastern parts of Scotland. Now, the winds do increase from the west later on in the day. They become pretty gusty again. That leads western areas to be quite windy through the course of Sunday. So western parts of Scotland, much of Ireland, probably West Wales southwesterly and gusts of up to 30 knots, I think, during the course of Sunday. But most other areas actually probably not faring too bad. I think generally winds southwesterly coming in around about sort of 15 to 20 knots. So it's not that bad. Just notice here, though, East Anglia in the southeast, set of fronts just clipping the far southeast of the country, bringing some outbreaks of rain there. But I think even those clear away during the late morning into the afternoon. So all in all, it's not a bad weekend. It looks as if Friday is probably the one to go with, though, by the looks of things. Now, I've got a couple of places left on my Aviation Weather School Part 1. Actually, this was a full course, but then people were asking me, could they squeeze on? So I've actually opened it up to another 5 people. 3 of those places have gone already, leaves 2 remaining. So if you do want to come on this Aviation Weather School online course, it's going to be held on the consecutive Tuesdays, so the 31st of January and the 7th of February between 6:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. Find out more, book your place now at weatherschool.co.uk. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you next week.
Thank you very much for that, Simon. Can I just say that, do you have like a diary that plots out when I'm going to not be available to fly? Or because tomorrow I've got to go to the dentist, so no flying. And it's the bloody day.
I order it specially for you. It's either you or me. It's one of the two, I'm afraid. So, I'll try my best.
And what we need to know is, do you have a new Radio 5 show? Dave White's here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was basically because I was cheap. That's why I was on there, Dave. I was the only one stupid enough to do it at 10:45 in the evening, and I was cheaper than anybody else.
Oh, congratulations! What's it like working with amateurs compared to us lot?
I'll tell you what, I'd sooner be here any day.
We won't tell him of that. Thank you very much, Simon. Have a great weekend.
Cheers, Simon. See you next week. Bye.
Okay, well, there you go. So that's pretty. Didn't realise you'd done the Radio 5 thing.
No,
Dave, we know that. I happen to know that Dave White's nursing flu at the moment, so that's probably why he's been listening to Simon at night.
Radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Well, I hope you get better soon, Dave. Right, what have we got next? We got Johnny impersonating Sarah, I believe.
Yeah, so first thing is free landing vouchers for the month. We've got, what have we got? We've got Perth, High Wycombe, which I think looking at our bits and pieces that we work with, I think that might be the first time we've ever had Booker.
We've got.
I think it might be as well.
Wow. That's amazing.
So that's a good one there. Straven, not Strathaven, as some people call it, apparently.
Are you sure about that?
Who knows? And
it's definitely Straven. Don't call it Strathaven, because the person Colin McKinnon who's there will have a right go at you.
For good reason.
And finally, Rufforth East, which is by York, which is right next to Rufforth West. So don't get them mixed up. Land at the correct one if you do go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Well, that looks a bunch of. I mean,
that's a real spread.
Basically, it's pretty good. And even this time of year, Strathern and Rufforth East, are they both grass? I think I've been to Strathern. I think that's hard runway, actually, thinking about it. I'm not sure about Rufforth East. I've got a feeling that's maybe someone in the comments will let us know, because I should know. But anyway, so some good hard runways for this time of year, getting out flying. I know there's been a bit of rain about, so that's not the best thing, but there you go. Right, there's a whole load of stuff to cover tonight, so I think we better move swiftly. Oh yeah, by the way, those landing fees, you only get them if you're a member of the club. If you're not a member of the club, join. You can join for £5 a month, 52 quid a year. £5 a month, everything you produced. Hard at Rufforth as well. There you go.
Hard at Rufforth, Straven is grass.
Oh, in that case, I haven't landed there.
Yeah, and Paul Cadell says, because, if anyone's a judge of good free landing offerings, Paul Cadell is good free landing, says Paul.
I wonder if there's anyone who's landed at more places in the UK than Paul Cadell.
No, probably not, no.
Unlikely.
Probably not.
Unlikely. There's airlines that have landed at less places than Paul Cadell.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Special award for ticking off all free landings. Nick Allen, Paul Cadell has done that in a day as well.
Yeah.
Before his coffee, probably.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. Let's move on to news. It's time for some news, because we've got a whole bunch of stuff tonight.
And I think I have the first news story, which is the news that Altitude Angel, which is a drone software company, I is planning to build a 165-mile-long drone superhighway, which will connect Reading, Oxford, Milton Keynes, Cambridge, Coventry, and Rugby. It's called Project Skyway, and it's going to have a £5 million boost because BT's digital unit called Etc. No, really, it actually is called that. Is entering into a deal with them. And they say they are going to scale the UK drone industry and support the development of the UK drone superhighway. It's the longest network of its kind in the world. And BT, the £5 million BT investment is intended to accelerate Altitude Angel's rollout of its Arrow technology, which detects and identifies drones. Altitude Angel says this technology will enable drones to share the airspace with crewed aviation. I've never been called crewed aviation before, safely and securely. And this is all part of the whole drone delivery industry, which they estimate is going to be worth £45 billion by 2030. Interestingly, the airspace change proposal, which Altitude Angel had created for a TDA for their drone detect technology, appears to have stalled. If you look on the ACP, there's no record of progress since February 2022. But they do seem to have a good history of responding to people who comment. We had a story about them a while ago, and the guy behind the project, who was project lead, was responding to people who asked questions. And if you dig into some of the details for their tech, they say they have got visual see and avoid technology, so drones will avoid us crewed aviation.
Well, I certainly hope they're going to do something like that, because I don't fancy the idea of a danger area popping up between all of those places.
Even if it was low level.
Well, you do say that it'll see everybody. Of course, that's subject to everybody carrying electronic conspicuity. And it looks as though the latest move is that we will all need a 1090 ADS-B transponder. So that great swathe of superhighway that cuts halfway across England will mean that if you want to fly from west to east or east to west, you will have to carry electronic conspicuity.
Wow,
it's looking that way, isn't it? I don't think you could necessarily say that was a fact today. It might be a fact in some. In fact, who knows? And if you wanted to find out what the CEA were thinking about stuff like that and the DFT, we published a story a little while ago with a link to a whole chunk of freedom of information documents that were supplied by the CEA and DFT that you can plow through and have a look at and see what you think. I'm just amazed. It's basically, I was watching a video and there was a guy saying, so we're going to be able to carry bloods at high speed, and go, that's amazing. They get all this blood to the hospital and all this medicine, and then there's still a queue of 40 ambulances outside waiting 26 hours.
Yeah.
So
interestingly, Nigel Hitchman, who is a good barometer of these things, he says they seem to be the only ones going the right way with autonomous detect and avoid. And part of their technology is about seeing aeroplanes who haven't got 1090 devices. So,
well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Why did my was that an urgent message?
And then Johnny's gone.
I just heard an urgent message. I thought, wonder what that is. Who's sending me an urgent message? It was Johnny going, my Wi-Fi's just dropped out.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, luckily, it's your news next.
It's my news next. Well, in that case, I better bring up the. We're talking about a rather bit of a sad, frustrating story next, which is Aviation Robin. There was recently a service bulletin issued by the factory, which was pretty swiftly replaced by an EASA airworthiness directive, and also the CEA basically just copied the EASA airworthiness directive. If in short, they've discovered some main spars that potentially weren't built to spec, and there's a whole bunch of serial numbered Robin DR401s that have been grounded until that's fixed, and a whole bunch of others, a significant larger number, that have some flight restrictions put on them. Robin have said that they'll be doing a little bit more work on it. I'll be coming back to people within the next, well, it was 3 weeks, so it's probably a week and a half, 2 weeks now, possibly with one-off permits for ferry flight back to the factory to get it fixed. And there are three aircraft in the UK that are grounded, and a whole bunch of others in France and Germany. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know how long it's going to take to get all of those. It depends what the fix is, I guess, and what the inspection is. But having all of those to do, if they all have to be done at the factory, will not be, I fear, a quick process. But let's hope that there's an easy way to sort it out locally and everything's fine and everyone's back in the air as soon as possible. That would be
definitely. Johnny, back in time for your news story.
Yeah, that was lucky. My Wi-Fi dropping out. It might have been some 1090 interference from somewhere. Anyway, Aero Legends are taking over the school that was the school at Compton Abbas, which is good. So they're going to be taking that over very soon. They're doing some work to the airfield basically over the next, I think, 4 weeks. So visiting aircraft aren't allowed at the moment, but based people can still fly. Obviously, Guy Ritchie bought the place at the tail end of last year. And in a statement, he said that he wanted flying to continue and make sure all the instructors and students would still have opportunity to continue flying from the airfield. So that was all good news. And this is the next bit of tangible evidence of him actually continuing that. And that's
quite a surprise. If I'd had to predict things that were going to happen at Compton Abbas, Aero Legends running the flying school and doing a bunch of Spitfire flying from there wouldn't have been it.
I think it's great news. I went up to the last time I went to Compton. There was kind of like a wing walk company that had descended on Compton for whether they were there for the day or the weekend. I'm not sure, but that was turning over really, really well. So I think it's a very promising thing. I know there was someone on the forum when the Compton news broke who was kind of like, mark my words, this is not good news. But it certainly doesn't seem. There's always someone, isn't there?
There's always someone.
It's obviously a big. The warbird industry is obviously doing well because Spitfires.com operate out of Exeter over the summer. Ultimate Warbirds operate out of Oxford and somewhere else, so they're obviously all keen to get closer to customers.
Yeah, and there seems to be no stopping the whole Spitfire ride industry at the moment. It seems to be a real growth industry.
That was properly facilitated by the Civil Aviation Authority changing the rules. What must have been 5, 6, 7, I don't know, 8 years ago now, a bunch of time ago, which so far was a good thing. Well done, CA. You see, you can do good stuff if you try. Rob,
I've been given the good news story of the evening, which is the awards given out by the government in the King's New Year's Honours List. 4 to talk about. The first one is very popular. It's Robert Pooley, MBE, also known as Bob Pooley. He's been awarded the LVO of the Royal Victorian Order, so the Lieutenant grade of the Royal Victorian Order, which is for recognising distinguished personal service to the British monarch, of course, because of Pooley's swords. Second one is Tony Rapson. We know him as former head of the GA unit, that part of the CAA dealing with general aviation. He's recently been head of General Aviation Safety Strategy Study, and he's also part of ACOG, which is the Airspace Change Organising Group. He got his award for services to general aviation and to aviation safety. Third one, somebody I've actually met, is a paraglider called Russ Ogden. He also has been awarded the MBE. He's a lead designer and test pilot for Ozone, but I guess the thing that tipped it over for him was that he won the 17th FAI Paragliding World Championship in Tucumán, Argentina in 2021. If you know about paragliding international championships, they're incredibly difficult to win, very well fought, and this was an exceptional achievement on his part. And the last one, last but not least, is Mr. Stephen Slater. You might know him as chief exec of my opposition organisation, the Light Aircraft Association. Steve and I work very closely together. This is an absolutely brilliant award for Steve, very well deserved. And I personally would like to congratulate him. It was awarded for services to diversity in the aviation industry. So he's now Steve Slater, MBE. Very many congratulations, Steve.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. Is he flying a vintage airplane there with vintage headsets? Those old Peltors. I'm not sure I've seen Peltors that odd for quite a while. Another question for anyone who knows him.
Out of the Museum of Electrical Antiquities, didn't he? So
absolutely, I think so. Now, okay, here's a quiz for you all. Who thinks Tony Rapson is actually Stephen Bridgewater's brother?
Kind of. Kind of, but
Kind of.
I think this photo more, and it looks like he runs. Is this the Tony Rapson that runs a meditation retreat? Maybe
That's Tony Robinson, isn't it?
Actually, I think Ed, if you can boot up Photoshop and put a goatee on him.
This is why you don't see Steve Slater and Tony Rapson in the same room.
Let me just check Bob Cooley. See, actually, not that I can talk, but frankly, there's not a huge amount of hair between any of them, is there, really? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Right. It's me next. That's the story to promote electric aviation. There is the Pulitzer Prize for an electric air race across the USA is running next May. Runs from 22nd to the 25th, so 4 days inclusive, and you've got to fly 1,000 nautical miles from Omaha, Nebraska to Dare County in North Carolina, which is just down the road from Kitty Hawk. So that's going to take 4 days. You can fly between sunrise and sunset. Anyone can enter a team. There's a max number of teams of 25 they're looking for. You kind of need an airplane that can do somewhere between 80 and 100 nautical miles on one charge in nil wind conditions, which is quite a few of them now, I think. So I think this sounds pretty exciting. It costs you $1,500 to enter if you want to put in a team, but I don't think that's not, compared to getting your aircraft over to the States and everything, it's going to be peanuts, isn't it? So I think
it's going to be an interesting one, and it will click into Fantasy Hangar later. So
and don't forget, you can call yourself a Pulitzer Prize winner as a result.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's got to be worth it. And the time is not the elapsed time, so it's not one of these kind of. It's the amount of flight time that is going to be measured. Every competitor will get like a sealed GPS unit that will have to sort of measure its flight time. So if you, I guess the Rolls Royce thing would do quite well as long as depending on how long it takes to charge.
Well, yes, yeah. More on that later.
More on that later. Okay, let's move on. In which case, we have come to a very, very big and important part that's taken over a year to get to.
So this is Fly 2022 news. So back at the start of January 2022, we launched the Fly 2022 challenge, where we set you the goal of flying 2,022 minutes. So that was a little over 33 hours. And we said, why not do it in the 12 months of the year? For some, it was easy. For some, it was a stretch goal. And there's been a fantastic thread on the Flyer forum where loads of you have posted your updates and achievements through the year. And we have to say it's been brilliant to read throughout. I'll stick a link in the comments if you haven't seen that. I'm sure a bunch of you have. But when we sat down to look at what had been accomplished for the team, and that's the four of us, there was one clear winner for his outright optimism at the start of the year, when he said, it's been 11 years since I've flown over 33 hours and 42 minutes, mainly down to the fact I had 7 years off, renewed my SCP rating, and then took nearly a year out to do my CPL exams, and then lockdown ensued. This poster then gave regular updates through the year and encouraged others on the forum. And so the big prize winner of Fly 2022 is forum user Welsh Ritchie. He passed his Fly 2022 goal during the last third of his instructor course. And since then, he's gone on to double up, aiming for a personal target of 4,044 minutes while teaching. And he crossed that while teaching stalling to a student pilot. He's logged 70 individual flights and 102 takeoffs and landings. And by being the winner, he wins the top prize, which was £2,022 worth of flying with our headline sponsor, Echelon Air, at Biggin Hill. So congratulations, Welsh Ritchie. But it doesn't stop there. There's also another prize winner of a Bose A20 noise-cancelling headset. Johnny, you have news of that winner.
Yeah, so this person, I've had to write this all down because there's lots of numbers here. This person flew 158 flights in total. They flew 97 hours and 55 minutes, which equates to 5,875 minutes in total, which is way above the 2022 we're asking people to do. So well done. And he also visited 32 different airfields, and the majority of that was flown in kit foxes, a bit in an RV, a bit in a Sky Ranger, and a bit in a Eurofox. And that was for I need to say this.
Yes,
right?
have to be careful with this one.
For Fox Ake.
Yeah.
AKA Graham Park. So well done, Graham.
Congratulations to both of you. And Ian, I think there's 2 special mentions as well, aren't there?
Yeah, we got to. I mean, it clearly, if you read through the stuff, there's a whole load of inspirational stuff in there. Some really, really good flying, some really positive attitude, and some people just got behind it and went, yeah, let's go out and fly. And there's a bunch of people in here who, in the watching at the moment, who I know sort of cracked their 2022 minutes within about the first 3 days of. Well, not quite the first 3 days of last year, but there's a whole load of people who did really fantastic jobs. But a couple of people we wanted to single out amongst many people. We haven't gotten big prizes for these, but we've got probably the biggest prize, which is you get a year's membership of the Flyer Club, and if you're already a member, you get a free year stuck in there. So the first person will be someone who's familiar to you. It's Airbabe from the forum, Annabelle Cook. She kind of decided to go and do her first European flight as P1, but rather than just pop to the 2K like most of us would have done, she went and exaggerated all over the place. So there you go. I forgot to size that picture. That was amateur of me, wasn't it? There's a couple of pictures from Airway there, and then the next person. Sorry,
I think I'm right in saying that Annabelle didn't start her Fly 2022 challenge until almost halfway through the year, did she?
I know. Yeah, no, it was really quite an inspirational thing. And talking of inspirational and enabling other people to fly an awful lot and to enjoy general aviation, there's a guy called African Eagle who's based in Italy, Riccardo Donadis. Not sure if he's watching tonight, but here he is. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's absolutely passionate about his Cessna. Please don't send me emails about him leaning on the prop. Okay, just write to Riccardo if you really want to. I'm not entirely sure what the inflatable crocodile and hippo are doing on his Cessna 172. This is in San Marino. Apart from everything else, Riccardo organised the Raduno and has organised all the Radunos. But really top chap. But just you get up in the morning sometimes and you take a look on Facebook, and Riccardo's snuck in a quick flight before work in his 172, just a quick 20 minutes and stuff like that. And he's just using that aeroplane to its full extent, which incidentally is not always easy. Italy's a strange country for aviation, but well done, Riccardo. So,
and it's been fantastic, and many of you have been asking about the new challenge for 2023. And as we didn't just want to add a minute, we thought about how about we will give you the challenge of visiting 23 airfields and flying 2023 minutes, because the 33 hours seems to be a good target for many. So it's another time challenge this year. But also, we say, why not try and visit 23 different airfields in the course of the 12 months? And club membership and free landings can help you on the way. Plus, we'll be aiming to meet members at a few locations around the UK during the course of the year. So join us with Fly 2023 this year.
Yeah, we might even, I'm not sure where we'll get this done, but we might even get some special Fly 2023 challenge lanyards done for people who are taking part. There'll be a thread on the forum. Please go out. Welsh Ritchie was an absolutely inspirational win, but he didn't have a camera because there were no pictures from Welsh Ritchie. So please, Welsh Ritchie will lend you a camera or something. Everyone else, go take lots of pictures, lots of videos, and put those on the thread as well, and just get out there and fly. Which brings us on briefly. We'll get to the main guest in a minute. Paul, don't run away. To the other competition that we run over Christmas. While I look for the video, do you want to talk about that, Ed?
Of course. You're going to run the video first?
I'm going to run the video first. Here you go, if I can find the right one. It's a...
So there we go. So over Christmas, you got to watch the Flyer Kit-Off Challenge, where Ian, Johnny, Dave, and myself took up the challenge to build Airfix starter kit Spitfires in an hour. Now you watched and voted, and it's time to announce the winner. Drum roll, please. It was a Spitfire B.
Oh,
Spitfire B. That's probably got a picture of Spitfire B in here somewhere.
Spitfire B. That? So who was the builder of Spitfire B? It was me. So
Ed wins, you mean?
I'm very honoured to be your Spitfire build winner. But it doesn't. I'm amazed. Have you got Spitfire C there, Ian? I'm amazed Spitfire C didn't win. We can run through who was who. Let's go for A first. So A was Dave. Now Dave had a bit of problem with this prop and decided that he could just paint with green and go with the aeroplane grey, which was quite a good strategy. It looks quite good. B was mine, which I'm amazed. Given that I haven't picked up a paintbrush in a while, I'm amazed it turned out quite as well as it did.
How did you miss the canopy then, Ed?
I don't know what happened there. I think I may have got gluey. I think I may have got glue on my fingers and then handled the canopy, and that's made the canopy a bit gluey. So, and I managed to snap the aerial off. But but that was a fairly common error. Even Johnny managed to snap his aerial off. And snapping most bits off or deforming things with your heat gun was the problem with C, which was Ian's. Ian went with a number of speed building techniques, none of which seemed to enhance the product.
Yes. I went with super glue and activator. Accelerant. I went with the heat gun. I don't know if you can see just behind the fuselage, it kind of looks like there's a little air brake, and that's where part of the mold deformed due to the heat gun, as did the cannon there as well. And
apparently a heat gun on an Airfix kit does not speed you up.
No, I think that's true.
Harsh.
And then
Ian, were you wearing a blindfold?
No. I thought I did quite well, actually. And then D.
Talkington, barn find Spitfire C. What on earth happened to C?
Let's move on to D quickly, because D is a very fine effort.
And D, which was Johnny's, a very, very nice Spitfire. Johnny had definitely a better canopy than me.
But with a slightly droopy prop.
Slightly droopy prop.
Only slightly.
Only slightly. It was great fun. So, and it doesn't end there. So we figured, and this is just a bit of fun, but if you'd like to join in and get yourself one of the 4 Spitfires, then we've set up an email address. Oh, worse, C was buried in Burma for 17 years. So we've set up an email address. Ian, I think I've got this right. It is buy a Spitfire at seagull.aero, isn't it?
That's it. Buy a Spitfire at seagull.aero.
What I'm going to do is you can get yourself one of the 4 Spitfires. Send an email to that address and tell us which Spitfire you'd like, A, B, C, or D. Tell us how much you'd like to bid. For example, Spitfire A, £5, and we'll announce the winners next week.
£5.
£5. No matter what the amount, we're going to use this opportunity to raise some money for Airability. So you never know. We might even get pen and sign them. So, or Ian may just use the blowtorch on his a bit more.
I might see if I can outbid everyone and buy my own, because I am convinced that Airfix kits are destined to be blown up and set fire to. So I might see if I can find a slow-mo camera and set up a.
Dave White says, "I'll have E, please, Bob."
If you haven't seen that video, head over to our YouTube channel and you can watch that video. I think it's called the Not Live stream or something, and it's a little bit longer. It's about 18 minutes, so you can see a whole bunch of the build on there. But it was a great deal of fun, and big thanks to Jez Hopkinson for lending us a space in the middle of his hangar. Which is kind of interesting filming at an airfield, isn't it? There's some random noises that happen from time to time, unsurprisingly. Yeah. But yeah, good. Right.
There we go.
Sorry?
Get bidding.
Get bidding, yeah. Buy a Spitfire at Sega.aero. And you can expect a couple of other challenges throughout the year. Now, we should be going to Paul Fraser-Benison right now. However, there was something that I forgot earlier that I just want to drop in there. I should have mentioned this during your free landing fees, Johnny, which is that for members and members only on the 17th of January, which is a week next Tuesday at 7:30, we'll be having a webinar with Thomas Borchert from Flieger Magazine in Germany, where we'll be discussing and talking through basically how to fly VFR in Germany. So if you've ever been tempted to fly in Germany and you've got questions and you want to know a bit more, join, and you're a member, join the webinar. We'll be sending out members an email with a private link. So come and join members, ask Thomas some questions, find out about flying in Germany, find out about their circuit patterns, about the fact that they got a whole. It's not difficult, but there's a few special rules. So we'll be putting that on for members on Tuesday the 17th. Sorry, I digress. Let's move to Paul.
Bring in the guest.
Paul.
Good evening. Hello, thanks for having me.
Hello, Paul. Thank you very much. Well, thank you for coming. So just by way of an introduction, Paul once upon a time worked at the Civil Aviation Authority. I think that's true. We'll move on swiftly beyond that. I'm just scrolling down to look for the pictures that I have of you. Oh,
well, there's Cloudhound.
That's Cloudhound.
Yeah, so that's why I've got the Cloudhound handle on the flyer forward.
And you bought it from this chap who
yes,
might recognize,
because he was the Cloudhound.
He was. Does anyone remember that TV program? I can't remember what it was called now. It was on BBC Two.
Is that the one where he came on and went, "Hi, I'm Brendan O'Brien, and I'm a pilot."
Yes.
He walked on, and he had like a leather jacket and a life jacket on top of that. And he walked in. Hello, I'm Brendan O'Brien. I'm a pilot.
Yeah.
And then
he still does that.
Yeah, and at one point you had a share in an RV6, I believe.
Yes, that's Juliet India. That's my twin brother Richard, overtaking me at 140 knots.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You can't have it all. And is this a Ukrainian airplane? Looks Ukrainian.
Brendan actually was putting it into the old Civil Air Patrol scheme that the submarine hunters used in America, and that was the colour scheme they had.
Okay.
So anyway, basically we've got Paul along because there's a whole bunch of airspace stuff going on at the moment, and Paul, since he's left the CEA, runs a company, a consultancy, which basically works with airfields and all sorts of other people looking at airspace, amongst other things, and approaches and stuff like that. And I know that whenever I see that email arrive from the Civil Aviation Authority, you go, here you go, consultation on this bit of airspace, and you look and it's like 5,000 pages, and you just go, oh God, that's my next 3 weeks taken up with trying to understand that. And it's always useful to talk to Paul. So there's some interesting and important stuff going on at the moment, which frankly we couldn't really do justice to in the news. So Paul, we've brought you on to talk us through it, to tell us what's going on. And I think we're going to start with Barnsley.
Yes, call for evidence for Barnsley. And of course, I put that thing in the forum saying the Barnsley airspace was for the chop, which was a culinary joke. But it's really, I'm asking people today just to have a look at the actual survey, which is on the website. You go to CAA consultations, look for Barnsley ASR. That effectively, they're looking for people to suggest changes. And this is coming out of a thing called the reclassification task force, or reclassification people within CAA. Emma, who runs it, is a time-served airspace person. And they started with the Cotswold region last year, which was a little bit not as well thought out, and the results have been very minor. This one, when I first looked at it, it was very upper airspace, big jets, everything like that, with a little bit about the low-level route. The more I've looked at it, the more opportunity there is for us to have our say. Skin in the game for me is that I learnt to fly at Barton. I trained up and down the low-level route, and for years, 20-odd years, there was no problem. I had 10 years off flying through ill health from 04 to 14, suddenly come back up the low-level corridor, and it's like bomb alley. My brother in Juliet, India, took off from Barton last year, cleared Barton. He listened out on Manchester, about to select 7366, and immediately Manchester on saying, state your intentions. And he's like, I'm still changing the frequency, sort of thing. So it's very, very fraught. And so if you look at the actual website, there's a map which shows the whole area, which is then linked to the questions. And this is actually not a bad survey in the sense that, unlike a lot of CAA sort of surveys of the past, where you have to answer the question to go on to the next question and can't go back, this one allows you to pick any of about a dozen or so topics. One is the low-level route. There's all the different TMAs, there's all the CTRs, CTAs, whatever, right the way down to gas venting stations. I've just had a look on the website now. The responses are up to 74 responses, of which over 30 are just on the low-level corridor. So actually, people are starting to pick up on this. So you can just go in and say, make it better, end of, and you will have registered your comment. But what I really wanted to say was that if you look at the low-level corridor issue and then look at the others as well for TMAs, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit because it's low-hanging airspace. And what you can see is that by simply raising the base of a lot of airspace around Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, and places like that, you create headroom. And I'll give you a good example. At Barton, we've got 3 schools which do upper air work. If you stand at Barton and look north, you've got Winter Hill in the far distance. Well, you've got to basically get to Winter Hill before you can climb, because you've got a ceiling above you of 3,500 feet. There's no jets at 3,500 feet in that airspace. They're all gone. All the airspace in the UK was basically designed for asthmatic DC-4s on 3 engines. So, come on, guys, an Embraer can take off on 1 engine. It doesn't need to. It just has 2 for balance. So the whole survey, it looks daunting, but what I'm just really asking people to do is go and have a look at it, cherry pick the bits you want to say. Clearly, the theme that's coming out of the low-level corridor is A, make it Class G, B, make it wider, make it taller. And actually, my suggestion has been echoed by a number of people, and that is make a north side and a south side. So that, even if you just do that tonight, guys and gals, that'd be great. So that's the ask.
Do you know when the survey finishes?
I was going to say 8th of January.
Yeah,
8th of January. So that is, what's that, Sunday?
Sunday, yeah, 23:59.
23, so midnight on Sunday. So get over there and do that. And I have to. I mean, I call myself an infrequent user of the low-level corridor rather than a regular user. But it's certainly one of those bits of airspace where you kind of, everything's concentrated, and it's a little bit.
Well, the other thing, Ian, is that since I've been flying up there years ago, the build-up across that area from Northwich, Crewe, the land clear from 1,100 feet, if you're in something that's got a bit of brick-like glide, it's not good.
No, it could certainly be improved. My own, this is not a scientific survey, but my own personal experience would suggest that Liverpool are more offer more transits than Manchester. Should you wish to avoid it.
I've hardly ever got transits across Manchester. I mean, they have a mindset.
No. So I had a quick look at the survey myself, and it's a pretty easy survey to fill in. And unlike, there's a lot of free text boxes, and there's no text limit. So if you want to write a little essay, you can write a little essay. If you
and
don't,
also, Ian, you can leave it, sign off, and they'll send you a link back, so you don't have to do it in one chunk.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, would you say that if you were only going to do one thing, would you say that the low-level corridor was probably the thing to do? I mean, you should do everything, but
yes. Well, I agree that would be the one, but I would look at also the TMAs and the bases of those around there, because they could all be raised with no difficulty. There's things about prisons and HRTAs and all those sorts of things, and really there isn't much more to be said about that. And certainly the CTRs above 7,000 feet, I don't think really affects us. Trent 772 will have a comment, I'm sure, but really those would be the key ones.
Okay. Changing subject slightly, but this is a kind of related a related issue. It came out today that there's another consultation from the Civil Aviation Authority on what I believe is the new CAP 1616, which is the airspace change proposal process, which I think was changed not that long ago.
No, it's the whole thing about 1616 is it's a defence for the CAA against judicial review. So it's not there to make anything easy. It's there to build them a castle over which nobody can jump when there's a problem because of what happened at Farnborough, all those years ago. And my job in Merlin Aerospace is helping non-towered small aerodromes, Sywell, Kemble, Leeds East, places like that, get a foot on the run for instrument approaches. The trouble is that 1616 is written for runway 3 at Heathrow downwards, and so it's a hugely complex thing, and it has validity when it comes to the big changes. But if you look at the failures, Biggin Hill, Exeter, places like that, Leeds a few years ago, the failures are on process, not on content, because it's so process driven and you have to tick every single box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't think actually our viewers tonight would have much to say about 1616. It's a highly technical thing. I think it is too heavy-handed, and certainly down at the bottom end for introduction of small approaches to small aerodromes, it's too heavy-handed. The bar is set too high. And what I can tell you tonight is that the CAA is about to announce with DFT funding for 10 new approaches supported with government money. They are aimed at helimed pins, so the ability eventually to land a helicopter carrying a patient to a pad at a heliport. That's the aim. It's a step along that direction. Now, none of those people that are coming to this, these 10 new sponsors, and I can't tell you who they are at the moment, if they have to go through the hoops me and my clients have had to go through over the past 8 years, they will give up. It's just too much. One of my clients and I have been on the approach literally for an approval since 2018.
I can't say that I've noticed a huge number of extra approaches that have been put in place and made available to general aviation or anyone else for that matter.
Well, we're doing Leeds East flight test tomorrow. We did Sherburn on Tuesday. So there's 2 in the pipeline there, and there's another 2 that are coming along. But when you think back to 2014, Grant Shapps announced CAP 1122 at Aero Expo, and it was literally peace in our time, and that has just not come to pass.
Yeah. Talking of airspace and chopping and changing a little bit, do you have anything to say on the airspace, the airspace change proposal that Bristow's are sponsoring, I guess, or running down in the channel?
Yes, I'm deeply concerned about it because it looks like they've designed the answer and they're now looking to make everything fit the actual thing. No DACS, and really, I just don't think the people working on it fully understand what's going on outside. There is this within certain areas of the people I deal with, a very much civilian and military, or civilian and something attitude, and they really don't understand about the types of flying that we do. The fact that you might want to just get up in the morning and go to the 2K at 12 o'clock, that kind of immediacy doesn't appear to sit with their way of thinking. It's going to be a continuing battle, and I think what Rob was saying before in terms of EC will unlock all of this, I'm certain. But if you look into Europe with U-Space, with phones, that model won't work in Britain. And so we have to have a non-segregated, everybody playing in the same pool. But the one thing I would say is that if you look at all the latest EC stuff, all the new working parties, it doesn't appear to give a place for pilot aware with 876.5. Sorry if I've got that wrong, Lee, but whatever their frequency is, it's all 1090, 978. And so we've got a problem because there's lots and lots of people bought into the pilot aware atom grid network, which works, it's fine. And so we need some fairly tough talking somewhere to move forward, because Sky Echo is good, but it isn't as good as Atom Grid.
Well, I've got. We're come spring. We'll have another look at EC. We had some mixed results when we did it. I have to say.
I fly along with Atom Good. I've got 2 screens. I'm getting weather. I'm getting real-time rain. I'm getting all the METARs and TAFs. I'm getting a radar screen, and I'm getting an audio. And the only thing I'm not seeing is directly behind me. But have you seen the tail on the Stinson? There's nothing behind you.
Yeah, I think I don't want to get into an EC wars thing here, but I think there is a significant difference between EC, where you put something in your airplane that's your airplane, and you can put in aerials or external aerials or something else, and the other option where you just take a box and you put it on a coaming of a rental airplane without any external aerials or something. Yeah, and that is a very different proposition.
And the thing is that the drone people, their height stroke altitude is GPS derived. Ours is pressure derived. So we've already got a major problem as to who's at what height.
Point.
Right. I don't think we should stray that far off of there. We are almost running out of time for our airspace thing. Is there any, apart from reminding people to jump on the survey, of which there are links in the description and plenty of stuff on the web, and you can go to CA consultations and fill in your stuff, particularly about the low-level corridor, but about the TMA stuff and the shelf around there as well. Is there anything else on the horizon that people need to be aware of, that they need to go and put their hands up and talk about?
I suppose the whole airspace modernisation is running in the background, and there are constant calls for evidence on that. There will be another call for evidence. But no, I think if I can just ask people to focus on the job in hand. But could I also just thank you for the work you guys do? You are a beacon of light in a very dark place, so thank you.
It's a pleasure, but I have to say, from I don't know about the rest of the team, from my point of view, the whole airspace thing is such a large and complex area. And it's not that we're lazy, it's just that we've got 1,000 balls to juggle as well. And when something like that comes in, it's like, the CAP 1616 thing that you were talking about, which is a massively complex thing. To try and sit down, understand it, change it into English, it's a huge thing. And there is a kind of feeling that I wouldn't like to accuse the CEA or the DFT of this at all, but if you just keep putting out calls for evidence, consultation, calls for evidence, consultation, and it's all in a language that's difficult to penetrate, difficult to access, it does become overwhelming, and you do get fatigued by it at the end. And it would be, and actually when you come down to it, for the low-level airspace thing and the free text boxes, it's relatively easy to go in there and go, I think this is ridiculously narrow, low, needs to be improved, simplified, whatever. It's a relatively simple thing.
I'll be happy to guide you through things if I possibly can in the future. Just call on me.
That would be very good. That would be very good. Well, thank you very much for coming along. Perhaps you can come and talk in the future when we got next complicated bit of airspace thing, which is probably in about 5 minutes' time, knowing that the CA.
There we go.
Yeah.
Much indeed. Why we need experts like Paul? Amanda Stubbs says.
Thanks very much.
PM.
What is that? Yeah, and I think just keeping up with the amount of acronyms in airspace and stuff like that is bad enough.
Yeah. Well, Tango, Fox, November.
See you later, alligator, as they say. Right. Thank you very much, Paul. I'm going to stick you back in the green room, and then we're going to move on to.
It must be time for.
Hang on a second. Say that again. It must be
time for. There you go. Good debate. Yeah. I'm a good, sensible mind there, knowing about airspace. Paul does know his stuff, doesn't he? So, and there's some good call to action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just after you've joined the Flyer Club tonight, go and fill in the bit about the low-level corridor.
Yeah. So, Fancy Hanger, this week, after hearing the news that there's going to be an electric aircraft race in the US, that's 1,000 nautical miles in 4 days, we thought, hey, let's pick an electric aircraft that we would want to enter and then have in our Fancy Hanger later. So who's first?
I think Rob's actually first looking at this here. Hey, Rob. Are you there, Rob?
Well, I was going to go, obviously, for microlight because best aeroplanes in the sky, which would be the Pipistrel Alpha Electro. But actually, no, my heart has won over. And the winner tonight is this one. It's the Hamilton Aero, based on the Silence Twister. 100 kilowatt engine, built by Hangar 55 in Switzerland. Apparently will fly at 100 knots straight and level for 45 minutes of aerobatic flight plus a 15-minute reserve. So we're calling that a good hour at racing speed. So anything else comes along, yes, fine. Might look nice. This one looks nicer. Might fly nice. This one certainly flies a lot nicer. So I give you the winner of the competition.
That is a very strong start. And but I secretly know, Rob Hughes, that you have a kit for one of those aeroplanes, don't you?
No comment.
Yeah, I think it's a strong start. There's one actually interesting. The organisers of the race have petitioned the FAA to reduce the required contingency fuel endurance down to 15 minutes in order to make it a little bit easier for people to get people to join. So you might be okay with your performance-wise. But I have to say that is a beautiful, beautiful aeroplane. I've had the chance to have a quick flight in a Silence Twister, and they are very nice, very, very nice.
I guess it is America, isn't it? So there's probably a good chance that your 100 nautical mile legs, there's going to be an airfield to suit every one of those.
The route is festooned with airfields all over the place. I mean, America is festooned with airfields, isn't it? But the first 2/3, 4/5 maybe of the route is effectively over kind of low land stuff, which is, as terrain goes, pretty friendly. And then you've got a little bit at the end over the Appalachians. But no, I think it's good. So anyway, there you go, Rob. That may or may not be the winner. It's not us that decide. It's the audience that decide. Let's move on swiftly. This is my... No, not that, although that is the part of it. That is, I'll tell you what it is. That's the Magni 350 EPU, 350 kilowatts, which in old money is 450 shaft horsepower. And that powers one of these. Look at that. Harbour Air Beaver. Whip those floats off, stick some gear on, that'll help. And I reckon you got it cracked. And you don't need to worry about hotels. You can just pitch up in the back. Everybody loves flying a Beaver. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, lovely aeroplane to fly. And there you go. There is a little snake.
I'm not hearing any numbers, Ian.
No.
So how fast is it and what's your range?
Well, they flew a demonstration flight, and it flew a 45 nautical mile leg in just 24 minutes. And the closest there is to a figure was with plenty of reserve. So I think I've interpreted plenty of reserve as being it will do 100 nautical miles easily.
Yeah. If anyone wants the audio equivalent of clutching at straws, that's just what Ian's gone with.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I look at it. Just look at it.
It's not got that classic radio, and you'd like to think that maybe they've recorded the radial sound, and even if it whirs away electronically, that it still plays Pratt and Whitney radial sound.
There are. I mean, Paul, who's still in the green room, pointed out to me earlier that 24 minutes, Andrew, not 20, 24. 24 with plenty of margin, it said. That means probably at least... Yeah.
Paul Sengupta might see a flaw in your plan here, because often it is about the time to charge, isn't it? So if your aeroplane if it's only got 20 minutes range at, say, 80 knots, and then it's 3 hours to charge, I'm not sure you're even going to be able to make... You're just not...
To be honest, it's...
A month.
It was 45 nautical miles in 24 minutes, so that's got to be 120 knots, which is quite impressive. It was probably downwind, to be honest. But then so is the race. It's kind of west to east.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. And talking about radial noises and stuff, because quite a few modern electric cars come with little bits of noise as well to help things along, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
And Paul Fraser-Bennison reminded me earlier that he was an electric car pioneer. I think he's had an electric car for 10 years.
Blimey.
So there you go. Yeah. All right. And I'm a big electric car fan as well. Let's move on. Time for stop taking the mickey out of me, the winner. And let's move on to Johnny, the loser.
I've gone for something I'd never heard of before, the Buy Aerospace E-Flyer 2, which actually looks all right, I think. And I go on, Ed, you're going to ask me how many are there?
Straight away, you say this looks all right, and this has the world's worst undercarriage. I look at it; it's so tall.
Yeah, I wouldn't be taking that on any grass strips, but then you wouldn't need to for this race, would you?
No.
It's apparently got a range of, and Ed will laugh when I say this, 3.5 hours.
Is that a tick over as you coast around the airport at 5 knots?
It must be. It must be. It's got 92 kilowatt, or 90 kilowatt engine, and can do 135 knots flat out. Apparently.
Do you remember a long time ago we had a competition where the rules were don't believe the manufacturer's figures, and we chastised Dave for this, and I believe you may have drunk the Kool-Aid and you may be believing the Buy Aerospace figures.
So that's in old money, that's 120 horsepower, which is 120 horsepower for a composite. 130? No, that's just not going to happen. I'm sorry.
As Chris Holliday says, it will be interesting to see if Buy actually competes, because they have a product. They could compete.
They could. Well, George Buy was at one point a VP or something at Cessna or Textron or whatever it was called at the time, I believe. But there's not been much heard from them recently.
No,
apparently the last thing of any substance was at Oshkosh 2021, where he said the certifying date would hopefully be late 2022 or early 2023.
That's probably why nothing's happened. They've been so busy certifying it, probably.
Yes.
Oh, who wasn't it? Skyborne in the UK that put an option on
Skyborne. Yeah, I think Skyborne have put a letter of intent in that they
That's
are.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chestnut.
Yeah. Anyway, over to you, Ed.
Yeah.
Presumably
Steve says, Johnny, you'd need to be a mountain goat to get into yours. So me, I've gone, and you've all gone for normal aeroplanes, and the competition is open to eVTOLs as well. And I think, there is a bunch of fantastic development going on in eVTOLs. I really wanted to pick the Rolls-Royce and Electrify XL NXT-E because, as Ian said at the start of the show, that's a fast aeroplane, 330 miles an hour. But it set that speed, it set the 330 mile an hour speed on the 15-kilometer closed course when it set the record. And I'm not sure there was much more range left in it after that. So 335 miles an hour, even if you only went half as fast, say 150 miles an hour, maybe this aeroplane only is good for 30 kilometers. So it's like, I'm not even going to, and America's full of airfields, but not every 50k, is it? So that's not going to work. So I went practical, but I still think it's what is pretty exciting because I went for this, the Joby Aviation S4 eVTOL. And look at this. This is completely Buck Rogers. And if you don't like flying, then you can use it to chop carrots or things like that. So this machine has 150, and now Joby are probably one of the most serious eVTOL players. And so this machine, they say, has 150-mile range and a 200-mile-an-hour top speed. And I know you can't always believe the book figures, and no one has independently tested those. But they seem like a pretty honest bunch. And if I'm conservative, then, okay, we'll go for 150 miles an hour, and then pretty confident we might get the 150-mile range that they quote. And because it's an eVTOL, I don't need there to be an airfield at the start and finish of each leg. Because obviously this can take off and land like a helicopter. Now, Joby say it takes 45 minutes to charge the S4. So if we allowed an hour, even with all these figures, I'm confident I can complete this race in 6.6 hours of flying. And that only needs to be 1.6 hours a day. So even if I've got to get all the charging equipment, because it's all about infrastructure as well, isn't it? You can't, sometimes you can pitch up and you go, oh, well, this takes this, it's a USB-C plug or something like that. It's all of this stuff needs infrastructure. So even if I've got to have that all follow me, I reckon that's a good chance of doing so. So, and I've got to say, once I'm done winning the race, and Joby, please enter this race, it would be brilliant. Then that aeroplane's going to look cool in the corner of my fancy house.
It would, I have to say,
Ed, I do notice that while you're talking, you stop looking at the comments. You should scroll back a little bit where Mr. Calderwood says 8 minutes endurance, Ed.
Dave doesn't know that, does he? he reads factory figures. It is looking, and it's nice because when we get a guest on, it's good when the guest wins. But it does look like there's a lot of Rob wins, extra points for being orange. Rob wins, Rob wins, Rob wins.
I love you all, of course.
White is like Ed loses.
Well, you did win the Spitfire challenge.
Yeah, Kia says those two props at the front look like they took inspiration from some of your Airfix kits. Let's go back to the Joby. It's like,
hang on a sec.
Yeah, no, they do look a lot like our Airfix kits.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think the thing we ought to say about this race, this Pulitzer Prize-winning race, is the fact that it was supposed to take place last year as well, but mysteriously was kind of like sunsetted and no one really spoke about it and didn't take place. So whether they were worried about COVID or they couldn't get the electricity sorted or they just didn't have enough entrants or any entrants, who knows? So I would absolutely love to see this race with 25 entrants. And if I have to say, I would. There's when they land in North Carolina, the day after the end, so the 26th. There's a kind of big electric aviation show where they're going to put them all on show, assuming it all happens. That is, it would be tempting to jump on a cheap flight over to the States, wouldn't it, and go and have a. As
Nick Allen says, Rob wins. So I'd do the competition in electric self-launching sailplane and hope for good thermals, and we've been talking about that. And Dave Calderwood, who joins us from the comments, says Pipistrel Taurus G4, and that would be that's a 2-seat. Product sold by Pipistrel. You can go and buy that now, and that's an aeroplane you could enter. So
I have to say, I think the electric self-launcher and decent thermals is going to win hands down, no problem at all. But electric self-launcher in rubbish weather is not going to win. But anyway, there you go. Jolly good. So I think we need to award that to Rob, don't we?
I think that's pretty much nearly a landslide win for Rob. What I would like to point out, though, that because we do have a bit of an electric Pioneer floating around in the comments, I need to go scroll back. But where is he? Where is he?
Not Elon Musk.
No, Elon Musk is not joining us tonight. But Rich Tyler is one of the pilots on the Zephyr, and the Zephyr. Is it's an autonomous device. I'm filling in my gaps here, but it's an electric aircraft that Rich and the team have flown for a whole bunch. It's set a whole bunch of endurance records, and that's electric powered only. So
it is, however, the race rules stipulate that you have to have somebody on board as well.
Yes, but I just think it just goes to show that we've got flyer live stream viewers who are in that tech. So
excellent. It never comes as a surprise to me to find that we got viewers who know more than I do. But right, moving on. And has anybody got any idea of events? That's normally Dave's job. Yes. I know we got the tickets for Freedom Travel and Oshkosh on sale.
Okay. So the Zephyr is a semi-autonomous high-altitude platform station, and it's solar electric. That is impressive.
Yeah. Well, Rich, I wonder if Rich could come on as a guest and talk about it.
Maybe. Rich.
Would you like to come on?
That's possible. I'm sure people would want to hear about that.
Yeah, that would be fascinating.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool. Right. Any events? Anyone got any events? It would appear that Dave normally does that research, and I forgot.
He does.
Anyone in the comments know of anything?
No events yet. But we, the BMAA, are planning an entire year of events. So keep watching the BMAA website, and we'll be touring with our trailer and flight simulator all around the country.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Jolly good.
Okay, I'm just looking at the Flyer web events page, and I'll stick a reminder in the comments. 14th of January, Tibbenham Airfield fly-in. Gasco Safety Evening, 12th of January, 2023. So, okay.
You know, we did that just briefly. You know, we did that little Spitfire build challenge, and we were wondering, wouldn't it be fun to do some other challenges this year?
Yes.
I've just thought of one that might be fun that Rob might be able to help us with. I don't think any of us have got any flex wing experience.
No.
We could do like a couple of flex wing circuits. Spot landing and a flex wing.
We had the pleasure of inviting Steve Slater, LAA Chief Exec, into the flight simulator at an event this last year. The big difference is the use of your feet. 3-axis, press left foot, go left. Flex wing, press left foot, you go right. Steve couldn't move on the runway for about 15 minutes. He was wobbling like a weeble and could not get airborne.
So we could probably safely do a taxi challenge then, couldn't we?
Yep, you could do that.
Maybe we'll have to think about that. Anyway, I think we're coming towards the end. So at that point, I would like to thank everybody for watching. I'd like to thank Rob for coming along and stepping in and being Dave.
Rob.
I'd like
Cheers,
to thank
Rob.
Paul. Cheers, Rob. Paul in the green room down there for coming and give us a fascinating chat about airspace. Don't forget, everybody, go and fill in that survey. I'd like to thank the team for doing it, and we will see you all next Wednesday if you're a member, next Thursday if you're not, but you should be. Join.
And,
that's right.
And don't forget, if you want to buy one of the Spitfires, A, B, C, or D, then email buyerspitfire@sega.aero. Tell us which one you want and how much you want to bid, and we're raising. I reckon we can at least raise a tenner for Airability. So
I think you're probably right. We don't appear to have any bids currently.
No bids currently. That can change.
So bids start at 5 pence. Okay.
That's it.
Good. Right. Okay. At that point, thank you very much, everybody. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you, Rob, again, and have a good one.
Top fly safe, everyone.